David Graham, CEO of Oman Sail. Your first Fastnet, but just take us back a little bit before that and tell us about how Oman Sail has come together and how it's going now in 2015.
Yeah, Oman Sail's been on the go, as you know, since 2008, and it's really come together. The teams now are an integrated part of the sailing teams. They're not needing to be told exactly what rope to pull, and so from a racing point of view, yeah, they're performing against some very other good boats and performing in their own right.
Of course, Oman is almost synonymous with the maritime history. They've been boating for centuries, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's a large part of why the country chose sailing. It is synonymous with sailing, and our job is very clear. We're here to reinstate the maritime eminence that the country once had, and that's what we're doing with events around the world.
So you got to sail on the Fastnet, on the boat, and on the MOD70. What was it like?
Yeah, it was a privilege for me to get on board, and it was great to be part of the team and integrated in part of the team. There's such a fantastic ambience on board. With Alex, with Damien and Sydney, they've got years and years of experience, and Sami, Yasser and Fahad, they've really come into their own in their own roles. It was great. We had all conditions. We had no wind at all. We had sunshine. We had fog. We were going 33 knots, averaging for probably 2.5 hours. So we had some white knuckle sailing as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's a privilege, really, isn't it, to sail with people of that experience?
Yeah, it's a real privilege to sail with people of that experience, and a privilege to sail a race like the Fastnet. I mean, it's such a great, globally well-known race, and an intense race. It's quite short and sharp. It's got all the different elements of a good offshore race, going across the Irish Sea. So it was a real privilege.
How did the fully experienced guys like that cope with the start, which was such a flat calm one, and it was a bit of a lottery, really?
Well, I mean, it was a lottery, but I mean, if you're in the right place, you got off the start line. We made a little mistake on the start line, and they were very calm. Didn't complain about it once. It was done. It was a long race, and by the time we got to the end of the Solent and coming out of the river, it was basically we were back in the game again. But I mean, an event like that, this magnitude, they've got to start when they say they're going to start. So it is what it is, and we control the controllables, but the weather and the tide, it's going to do what it's going to do.
And tell us about the rather calm trip out the channel. You made some interesting manoeuvres there.
Yeah, we coming out of the channel, it was very calm, and when we were playing the tide, looking for the wind. And we made a mistake, basically. There was a call to jibe because the wind was such that we should jibe, but actually overarching that decision on the strategy was you don't lose sight of especially Fado. They're one design boats. The boats go very similar speeds. So number one is you stick with your competition, and we didn't do that. It could have paid for us, but it didn't. It cost us dearly.
What was it like going around the Fastnet Rock for the first time then?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Obviously I've seen the Fastnet Rock on T-shirts, on television, and I keep a close eye on this race because I've been involved in it in one way or another for many years. So actually to experience and do it was fantastic. And I think it's great. There's many events around the world that don't allow multi-hulls into the event, and I think it's really forward-thinking of Rourke to allow multi-hulls. Clearly, that the sport's sort of heading that way in many different guises. So to have a good multi-hull fleet is fantastic.
It certainly was good, and you managed, even though it's a very wet boat, or can be a very wet boat, you stayed dry all the way around until you got here.
Well, we certainly got wet here coming to the media centre. I mean, it was it's wet when it starts going over 30 knots and you're trimming. Then it's wet. I mean, the best seat in the house is behind the little visor for the driver, and kindly Sydney let me drive quite a lot on the way back, which was also thoroughly enjoyable.
That was your fault then.
Yeah, blame me.
David, thanks very much, and nice to talk to you.
Thank you very much.